Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Saturday Morning Comic Review. I'm your host, Dylan Wallace. Today, we got a great issue for you guys. We are going to be going through a little bit of the backlogs here for the Omega run, but we also have some books that we had from the previous week, so we'll be reviewing those. 10 books as per usual. I was thinking maybe I go through kind of the best of 2025 for this go around, but I think I'll actually save that for Saturday's issue. We'll also have the previews from January as well, so we'll get those bundled together for Saturday. So expect that issue to be just a little bit longer than usual, but for today, it's just going to kind of be those standard reviews. So with the Omega, let's just go ahead and jump right into it, shall we? So there are 10 books in total as per usual. If this is your first time tuning in, first off, thank you very much. Appreciate it. The way that we do this review format is I'll go through the 10 books just so you know what order that they're going to be in. And I do spoil the heck out of the books when I do review them, so just kind of keep that in mind. But we'll talk about the books themselves. I'll catch you up on the story. I'll give you my score on League. I'll give you League score as well. And then whether or not it's a good time to jump into it. And then lastly, we'll finish off with showing off some of the artwork for the folks that are on video on YouTube. So the books that we will be reviewing are in this order. We have Absolute Superman, issue number 15. Then we have X-Men, issue number 23. And then Ultimate Wolverine, issue number 13. So those are the three books from last week. And then we get into the backlogs here. So we have The Nice House by the Sea, issue number 1. We just finished up Nice House on the Lake. So now we're Nice House by the Sea. Then we have Saga. This is going to be issue number 43. Then we called them Giants. This is, I guess it's kind of a three-part book, but it's really just one graphic novel. So we'll be going through the conclusion here. Then we have Poison Ivy, issue number 12. Then Do a Powerbomb, issue number 7, which is the conclusion to this trade. Then Fables, issue 154. And then lastly, Dragon Age. So you have three stories in here. Each of them are 3 issues. So we're at the start of Blue Wraith, issue number 1 for that. So those are the books that we will be reviewing. And when you have this many trades, just got to get myself reorganized here. So we're starting off, of course, with Absolute Superman, issue number 15. Really enjoyed this book here. Flip over onto League. I gave it a 4.5. League gave it a 4.4. I think it was ranked number 3 as far as books were for, kind of picks of the week. So I already knew that it was going to be a really good one. And I'll say for this issue, Superman is doing the classic Superman thing. So he's in the blue suit now that Soul has sacrificed himself, and he's out there just doing the Superman thing. So he's keeping his ear to the ground, listening to whatever's happening, hearing the screams, going and saving the day. While he does that, Ra's al Ghul has been imprisoned, and for all the destruction and people that Ra's al Ghul has killed, the family members are like writing, whether it be prayers or they're cursing him out or letters, what have you. And Superman literally is reading off all of those prayers, poems, letters, all to Ra's al Ghul. And Ra's al Ghul is just insulting Superman. It's like, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to kill every single person that ever wrote any of these letters. But he's just persistent with it, constantly, nonstop, reading these letters over and over and over and over again for the span of like hours and hours and hours at a time, multiple days at a time. And slowly but surely, he's like wearing him down as well, to the point where he's like almost just like, end it. I don't want to hear any of this anymore. So that's all taking place. Superman's running across the planet, saving whatever catastrophe that is underway, and it is tiring him out to like the absolute worst way. And he can't even recharge. He can't sleep. He's burning the candle at both ends. And he's also then trying to maintain like some sort of life in Smallville as well. And it's just not working. And you could tell as the issue goes on, he's getting more and more tired. Towards the end, he's off trying to save some folks, and he's up in the sky. And then Hawkman appears, and he's like, what are you doing up here? And so that is basically the conclusion of that portion of Absolute Superman. And in the last couple pages, we have Brainiac. So Brainiac's still alive, apparently. Thought he was gone, but he's still there. And Talia, Ra's al Ghul's daughter, calls him, and it's like, we need you back. Like, how are we going to break out Ra's al Ghul? And he's like, screw that. I'm on vacation. I'm not ever coming back. She keeps threatening him, and he's walking down the street, and he turns into a house, and on the mailbox it has the last name of Luthor. So we'll see how Brainiac and Lex Luthor end up teaming up together, and that is going to be the start of our new arc here. So it says literally on the cover, a new story starts here. Perfect time to jump into Absolute Superman. If you want to know what all the hype is about, now is the time to do it for sure. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into some of the artwork here. Artwork is excellent as per usual. So there you see Superman back in the blue suit with the red cape, looking traditional as hell. And yeah, it's just really a mix between Ra's al Ghul, the jail cell scenes, and Superman just bouncing all around, doing a whole bunch of different, saving people and doing the superhero thing. Getting tired, then back to Smallville, and then so on and so forth. Rinse and repeat basically throughout. And that's where he runs into Hawkman towards the end. And here is where we get the one scene with Brainiac, and then you see Luthor right there on the mailbox. Brainiac looking freakish as hell too. So excellent series, excellent issue, and now is the time to jump in. That's Absolute Superman issue number, I think I was saying Batman, sorry. Absolute Superman issue number 15. I gave it a 4.5. League gave it a 4.4. Then we're going to go into X-Men issue number 23. So with this one, I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4.3, so pretty similar there. This takes place after the Age of Revelation, and now it's called The Shadows of Tomorrow. So we're at the start of a new arc. Great time to jump into X-Men as well. With The Shadows of Tomorrow, it literally puts us where issue number 22 finished off, and you have everything that happened in Age of Revelation was in the far future. So we have this start off here in issue number 23, where we have what's his face? I'm blanking on the name. Revelation, but he has an actual name as well. If I refer back to my notes, Doug Ramsey. I almost said Gordon. I was like, that is not correct. Doug Ramsey is Revelation, and he's trying to join the X-Men. And so as Cyclops is about to shake his hand, his mind like kind of goes crazy, and he's like shooting his laser beam everywhere. And so when that happens, that was the end of issue number 22. Issue number 23 basically recaps that scene, and then he goes crazy again. And what happens is his mind and his consciousness is coming to him from the future, living out the whole experience that was the Age of Revelation. All these mutants were killed, and a whole bunch of humans were killed. It was a terrible, terrible time, and he's like, we need to stop it. And the very start of it was Doug Ramsey joining the X-Men in the first place. So they send Cyclops' consciousness and basically his mind and all of his memories back to the origin of where Doug Ramsey joined the X-Men. So here he is now, and then basically he memorizes the whole scene of where everyone's at, and he just starts taking people out left, right, and center, non-lethal of course, to the point where he grabs Magic's sword and he holds it and he's about to attack Doug, but right before he does, Beast stops him. And apparently in the comic, in Age of Revelation, Beast was supposed to come back with him, but Beast's conscience somehow got messed up and corrupted in the way back, so Beast wasn't able to make it back. It's just Cyclops who made it back on his own, and he stopped and he's put into jail. And so now everyone in the present state is like, what the hell is wrong with Cyclops? You just literally lost your mind and you're corrupted some way somehow, and they don't understand everything that's happened in Revelation. And so naturally they're like, dude, you gotta chill out, we gotta figure out what's happening to you. He's like, no, I lived through it, it was absolutely horrible, and I'm gonna do absolutely everything in my power to make sure that Doug does not become Revelation and the events that transpired do not take place. And so sure enough, he breaks out of prison and gets to the point where he's pretty close to killing Doug, but they restrain him yet again. And now they got to figure out what the hell they're going to do with him, because he's basically just made it very clear that this is going to be a never-ending pursuit. Doug decides, screw it, I'm leaving with my posse. He's got Warlock and he's got his wife. It's like, we're leaving and we're not even going to be part of the X-Men. And it makes you wonder, is this actually going to be the steps that then lead to him becoming revelation. We'll have to see. But he is the heir to Apocalypse, and we'll have to figure out exactly how they avoid everything that happens in the future. But that is basically the story. It was cool. It was fun. It was interesting. And it's a fun dynamic that we're getting into of like Cyclops feels like he's losing his mind, but he actually isn't. It's actually valid this time as he's lost his mind many a times before. So let's go ahead and show off some of the artwork. I'll say too for the cover. Cover is definitely the cover of my week, in my opinion. Holding the freaking sword above his head, trying to swing down onto Doug. So that was dope. Yeah, showing off the artwork here. It's excellent. It's typical Marvel X-Men, which has always been really good, and great action scenes here. A lot of it, of course, is the storytelling, but even still, I enjoyed the artwork as well. And yeah, it's an interesting arc. We'll have to see where they decide to go with it. Definitely going to stick with X-Men this go around, but it's basically the only thing that I'm reading as far as an X-Men book, except for, you know, the Ultimate, which we'll get to next. But there's Doug leaving towards the end. So yep, that is X-Men issue number 23. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.9. Then next up here is going to be Ultimate Wolverine issue number 13. Man, I couldn't believe this book. I gave it a 3. Lee gave it a 2.8. At the time that I reviewed it, I saw it was a 2.7, and I had to read the reviews. It was like so disappointing. This book was so disappointing because I've been enjoying it so much, and I feel like I'm the only one who's enjoying it, because each and every time my rating is going way higher than everyone else's, whether it be by half a point or sometimes an entire point. But this one, you can't defend it whatsoever. And so I'm going through the comments and I'm like, all right, did I miss something here? Is this like genuinely really bad? And like, sure enough, it is genuinely really bad. And there's no other way to describe it. I don't like describing books this way, but you have to call it. It is a filler book. That is all this is. It is 100% in the worst possible way a filler book. Like, I can't recommend anyone buying this book whatsoever. So skip issue number 13. And it's the first time that I came across the term of cover bait, right? We all know what rage baiting is. Cover bait. You see the maker on here. The maker isn't mentioned not one time. The only time maker is mentioned where they do the little summary at the beginning of every single Ultimate Universe book. That's it. No mention throughout the entire rest of the book. And it's like, what the actual hell? I would have given it a lower rating, except for the first couple pages are genuinely interesting. Everything else is pretty terrible here. So we have the start is we're getting a little bit of backstory on Magic, or, you know, Ileana as she's growing up. And she first is like brought into the demon world. Those are like 4 pages of it. Super interesting. If they would have continued with that, you would have had a 4.5 here. But that's all they talked about there, to the point where she meets a demon, or the king or king demon of the underworld, or whatever the case is. And then it stops there. Then it comes to the present, which is us now with Wolverine and Jean Grey and Sentinel 1, I think is his name. And Jean is dying, basically. We've got to get her some medicine and some antibiotics, and they're hiding out in some tunnels. Wolverine's like, all right, I'll go up and we'll try to find some medication. And so he's going through the sewers, and he runs into Ursa Major, which is basically an enormous like grizzly bear. And the whole book is just them fighting. They fight throughout. The fight is pretty boring and dragged out way too long. He finally wins, gets to the top, gets some medicine, and heads on back. That's it. That's literally it. That's the whole issue. Like, that's all that happened, is a fetch quest to get some medicine. Abysmal. It's a 3 for sure. Don't recommend it. Don't read it. It's terrible. And it's more of a gut punch to me because, like, I'm the one that's been defending this book, you know? So, annoying. Let's go through the artwork so you can see what I'm talking about here. Here's where you get kind of that start with Ileana, and as a child, the demon's like kind of calling to her, and then here's where she meets this demon in the underworld. Okay, cool. That's basically the end. And then from here, it's like, yeah, Jean's in trouble. Sentinel 1 sees it. Wolverine's like, all right, I'll head on out. I'll get some stuff. Boom. There's Ursa Major. So starts the fight, and then the fight continues, and the fight continues, and the fight continues, and back and forth, and I got the upper hand. No, you got the upper hand. It looks good, it's gory, yada yada, but it's boring, it's boring, it's boring. And then boom. All right, got to the medication. Let's head on back. The end. That's it. That's not worth, how much was this one? $4.99, $5? Get the hell out of here, man. Terrible. So yeah, super, super disappointing. That's Ultimate Wolverine. Issue number 13. I gave it a 3. League gave it a 2.8. Ugh. All right. Next up is going to be Nice House by the Sea, issue number 1. So I gave this a 4.5. League gave it a 4.4. Finally catching up to what is now kind of the current run of Nice House, insert, is it by the sea or on the lake? If you haven't heard the review of the other ones, really important that you read the other books. I don't like saying that in comics. You absolutely need to read Nice House on the Lake before you read Nice House by the Sea to have any understanding as to what is going on and the significance of this book and how it ties to the first one. I don't like saying that for comics whatsoever. You need it. You absolutely need to read that before this. So major FYI, you could jump in. Doesn't make sense to jump in here. What we have here, if you haven't and you're listening, the way that this whole thing works, I'll say one, just stop because I'll be spoiling these other 12 books as well. But if you are truly curious and want to continue, there's these alien race people that live among us, and they destroy the whole planet. They kill everyone in the span of like 30 seconds. And what they do is they set up these pods, and it's a nice house on the lake. It's a nice house by the sea. And there are these biomes where they have 10 people in there, and they're like the best of humanity, and they're running a whole bunch of different experiments. So they killed all these billions of people. They only left a couple of these pods. This is the second one now that we're introduced to. We didn't even realize, reading through the first one, that there are multiple, but there are. And we don't really know what these aliens are, what they're actually trying to do. There's just some sort of experiment. Everything is super weird and ambiguous. And everything went to shit in the first one. And it was a group of friends that Walter is the name of the alien, was trying to make it as pleasant as possible for his friends to all make this whole thing work. But it unfortunately did not. Walter was shot and killed, and it all kind of burned down to the ground. But we learned at the very end, Walter's not actually dead. They just think that Walter is dead. So now we have Nice House by the Sea, an entirely different biome, and Max is the name of the alien, and he went about it an entirely different approach in order to set up this biome compared to how Walter did. So Walter was literally his friends that he met as a kid, in high school, college, and recent, grad. And they're all together, and his whole thing was like, let's party. Nice House by the Sea, with Max, he literally took the best of everyone in their field. So you have like Nobel Prize winnings, Oscar winnings, like the highest ranking people and the most qualified that could possibly be in this biome. And the 10 people are supposed to represent like 10 different positions. Like one's supposed to be a writer, one's supposed to be a painter, one's supposed to be like a mathematician, so on and so on and so forth. They're all supposed to have these particular roles. So that's basically what they put together in this one. And it's been 2 years since the day that the whole world was destroyed. 2 years has passed. I think in Nice House on the Lake, it's just a span of a couple of months. And they're living, their life together as best as they possibly can. They have these different meetings. It's a democratic system where someone will kind of change the weather throughout. They have these arguments and these spats here and there, but overall, things seem to be going fairly well in this biome. But the kicker for this is one person in this one, in the Nice House by the Sea, in this house, is not quote-unquote supposed to be there. They have accolades and things like that, and people don't doubt why they're there. But it's actually one of Walter's friends as well. But didn't necessarily have room for him in the other house, and come to find out that he told this one friend, Oliver, a whole bunch of stuff that he wasn't even telling the other people that claimed to be super close to in the other house as well. So that's like a big piece that we were introduced to. And now we get to the point where one of the housemates is in charge of the weather. They want to create this crazy big rainstorm. Oliver's like feeling all down and depressed. He decides, okay, I'm going to just go out by the sea. And when he does, the rainstorm and the thunder and the lightning gets so bad that it looks like it short circuits the biome or something. But actually, in reality, there's like a time hole that opens up, and it's like 3 people from the other house on the lake that show up, and they all look at him like, Oliver? And Oliver looks back at him and he's like, he recognizes all of his friends from when they were kids. So now it's like, holy shit, now we have people from the other one, and I'm sure they're going to explain all the crazy shit that they've been through, and then what's going to happen when they enter into this one, what all happened to Walter. They think that Walter is dead. You got Max here, like how's Max then related to Walter, and how does that interact? Oliver knowing all this information as well, and he's like the one that's not supposed to fit into this one. We're going to see what happens. I am excited for it for sure. Excellent book, excellent setup. James Tynion is like, man, he takes you on a ride, you know? And the way that this starts is the way that all the other ones start too, of just getting some background information and some detail. And presumably you read the other one, so a lot of the context that you have reading through this, you know a lot more than what the characters know here, and like all the effed up stuff that they're talking about and how things went down and how it's all working out. So the other one that's happening in this one too is a lot of like body manipulation. So there's this like 50-year-old woman who's like trying to look like she's 21 and she's like sleeping around with a whole bunch of people in the house as well. So they're like living all their best lives here. So just showing off some of the artwork, got that crazy thunderstorm towards the end, and then here's where you get basically the intro of like, yeah, Walter knew Oliver even closer with him than some of the other characters in the other house, and then boom, here are the other characters here that show up like through some sort of time portal, and they're like, Oliver, you're alive. What the F is going on? Insane. Nice House by the Sea, issue number 1. Such a good book. Such a good one. Boom. From that, let's go to Saga. So we got a new volume that we're working our way through. We're in volume 8 right now. So this is technically issue number 43. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.5. This may be the first time I gave Saga a 4 and not a 4.5 or higher. And the reason is, unfortunately, I think it's just the nature of the content of this particular issue. So we have Alana and Marco. They tried to make their way off of this comet. Alana was knocked over and she's pregnant, and so she's lost the baby. But she's very far along, so it needs the point where she needs like surgically get an abortion. So the content of it is not fun in any stretch of the imagination, right? And what they decide to do is they head way far out into like some outer rim planet where they can go and get an abortion. I think it's literally called like Abortion Planet or something like that, right? It's like, this fantasy future. And so Alana, of course, is winged, and Marco, of course, is horned. And their concern is if they go to a hospital, whether it's a landfall or a Wraith one or any sort of species that is on one side or the other of the war, then they're going to be found out, and that's going to be problematic, right? So they got to go to some place as discreet as possible. Well, this abortion planet, rather than having Alana and Marco together, they're like, okay, let's have Alana and then Prince Robot pretend as though that they were together, and then they had a child, and then it was a miscarriage because the robots like work for the land, the winged species. And so they try it, it doesn't necessarily work, and they're like, hey, there's a place far on the other side of the planet that'll do a whole bunch of shady stuff, maybe you guys can go there. So Lana, of course, is all pissed off, and it's like, I can't believe like going through this, but she can't bring her husband with her because of like this whole war between the two sides, right? And so they head back to the spaceship, and it's like a big old camper, so like they're trying to drain out all the sewage, and so the sewage starts coming out, but the sewage then turns into like monster zombies basically. And like first people start freaking out, like, no, it happens, like it's like the magic that's part of the sewage, and like it can happen where like emotions are really high. And so they keep like shooting at, like, it's literally walking shit in their own image and form attacking them. And so they're fighting it off, but it's not like they're in any like serious danger. But Alana gets like super pissed off, and she's like, no, stop. And then she shoots out magic that she never previously had. So that's the cliffhanger. It's like, oh shit, she has magic, where it was always Marco who had magic. So it makes you wonder, is it because of the baby inside of her, or something else that could potentially be going on? But that is the conclusion. Yeah, it is a... we're dealing with some dark subjects here for sure, so keep that in mind. Yeah, this is literally called Welcome to Abortion Town, is what it is. Not to make light of this horrible thing, and probably should have started it with a trigger warning and things like that. But yeah, they're kind of working their way through. Here's where they're fighting all the crap. And then sure enough, Alana shoots out that fire towards the end. It's like, whoa, that is new. So let's see what all happens here as they try to figure out the sticky situation that they're in right now. So, yep, that's Saga issue number 43. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.5. Then next up is going to be We Called Them Giants, just my review as I wrapped up this issue, or graphic novel. It's about 104 pages, so, you boil that down. It's basically 3 standard single issues stacked together. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4 as well.
Nailed it. I know. Thank you. Moving on.
And for this book, it got to the point where it was like very obvious of it's Rapture. It's a whole bunch of people are gone. It's Lori is the main character. Annette is her friend. And then Beatrice is this old woman. They were the last couple on the planet, or last few people on the planet. There's this group of boys that they're trying to avoid, but they're trying to scavenge for food. At the same time, these giants have landed onto Earth, and there are 2 of them. There's a green one and a red one. So they're mostly messing with the red one. It gets into winter. Food is even harder to find. And then Annette and Lori run into an enormous wolf, so they're trying to run away from it. That's where Beatrice shows up. It's like, I can get you to safety. They end up in the territory of the red giant, and as soon as they cross into like his territory that's like clearly marked off, the wolf like stays away, and then the wolves will leave. So from there, Lori, Annette, and Beatrice like slowly, one by one, this giant was like feeding them as though they were like stray pets. And you can imagine, like, at first it takes some time, and then you like kind of go in, and then you're living in the house. Same thing here. And so the giant was giving them food. One by one, they were joining into the spaceship of the red giant. So now Lori in particular, the main character, the one on the cover here, is like, I want to get out of here because this doesn't seem right to just be here. And, the red giant's doing whatever he's doing. He's working, but it's in like a different language. They don't really understand what the heck is going on. And so Lori breaks out. And so when Lori breaks out, she runs. She's like, I got to find the green giant because maybe we can understand, like, he's doing something different, or know that like we're quote unquote captive or whatever is happening. But when she gets to the green giant, she finds out that the green giant is the one actually creating these enormous wolves in the first place. So Lori's like, oh, holy shit, that is not good at all. So let me hightail it back to the red giant. So she shows up to him, and they can't really communicate, but some way, somehow, you could just see it in her eyes that something's wrong. And so Lori heads out, and the red giant follows. And sure enough, the red giant sees what the green giant's doing, and they get into an enormous fight, as you can imagine. Because basically the red giant's treating them as their pets, and it's like, wow, you've been creating these things that have been hunting down, imagine you create something that's hunting down dogs, right, or cats, or whatever the case is, and not good. So the green giant and the red giant start fighting. And they start fighting, and the green giant's trying to create these wolves. So the wolves are biting at the red giant, but the red giant's like overpowering them and gets up to the green one and like literally rips his head off. And so the green one's dead. But the red one was doing everything he could to protect Lori, but at the same time has succumbed to his injuries, and he ends up dying as well. And so both of the giants are now dead, and now Lori, Annette, and Beatrice are on their own, and they gotta now scavenge and go out into this dark world after all this terrible effed up stuff just happened. So that's the end. And you kind of get the whole allegory is just pets and stray pets and things like that, and dying for something that you love, so on and so forth. But I'm thinking, if I'm Annette and I'm Beatrice, I'm so pissed off at Lori. Like, why did you leave? We were hidden in this nice little spaceship where we're being fed. Like, it's boring as hell, I'd imagine, but at least we were alive. They were warm. It's like everything was fine. And then now you go and cause all of this. Now he's dead. And they said, like, they came back, but slowly things stopped working, naturally, because no one was taking care of it. And it's this huge alien giant thing. They have no idea what they're doing. And then they had to leave. If I were the other 2 girls, would be like, Lori, we got to kill you. Like, we had a good thing going. Why did you do that? So it's a little ridiculous towards the end when I started thinking about it. But that's the story. So kind of a sad one there, but it is what it is. Go ahead and show off some of the artwork. Let's see if I can get to the point here where, yeah, so we have Lori. Boom. This is where she goes and breaks out. Yeah. I think it's somewhere further here, actually. Yeah, didn't quite get to it. Here he is, where she ends up breaking out, and she runs, she finds the green one, and when she finds the green one, she sees that, boom, that's where the wolves are coming from into the wild, so that's when she runs back at the red one. Red one's all pissed off. The fight is on between those guys, and towards the end, the red one dies, and both of them, boom, are dead, and now they're like, crap, we're on our own now. So yeah, that's it. You know, I don't know. If you can find it on sale, maybe worth it, to be honest. Otherwise, I really don't think. This is a hardcover, $20 for 3 issues. So I can't recommend it at full price, to be perfectly honest. But I think if you find it on sale for some reason, then it's worth picking up. So that's We Called Them Giants. I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4 as well. And then we are wrapping up volume number 2 of Poison Ivy. This is issue number 12. I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4.6. And for this issue here, it's just the conclusion of our arc with Poison Ivy and her friend at this retreat, basically. And the retreat, things have gone wrong, and they consumed this like green drink. They got infected by this wild fungus, but it turns out that the fungus is still kind of connected to Poison Ivy, so she's using them as her army. She tried to stop an oil tanker from going to an oil refinery, but she realized that that wasn't the right way or the right approach. Gets into this big argument with all the girls, and then she basically shows herself of like, don't forget I am Poison Ivy and I could kill all of you. And then the CEO of this retreat, she turns into this huge monster, and that was the cliffhanger of the last issue. So now in this issue, the fight is on. Poison Ivy defending all the other girls, and she is able to just barely kill this huge monster. So the CEO lady turned into monster is now dead. But now Poison Ivy is infected. Not that she's already been infected, but just even further so, poisoned, if you will. She goes into like this deep sleep, but she's able to come out of it, and they all get Poison Ivy to like one of the retreat attendees like house, and then from there when she wakes up, she's like, okay, everyone's now infected with this, we got to go and find some sort of antidote. So Poison Ivy is like a scientist, and so they refine and use the antibodies in her blood cell from being poisoned by that big monster to come up with an antidote. And they find it, and they do test it on a whole bunch of people, all but one, and she refuses and leaves, which is foreshadowing for something I'm sure that's going to come later down the line. And so all the other girls seem like they're okay and good to go. So Poison Ivy leaves with her friend, and they're like, let's go back to Gotham. And so as they head back to Gotham, because she wants to reunite with Harley Quinn, along the way, they run into like this zombified, infected, fungal looking thing on the side of the road, and that's when she realizes like, wow, this is truly spread out, across multiple states. And so they kill that thing, but then they like keep heading back, and then Poison Ivy finally gets back to Harley, and then it's like, okay, I'm home, but like there's a huge mess out there with this Lamia spore that is now mutated in the wild, and it's gotten to the point where it is spreading like wildfire, right? Like COVID times a million, basically. So that is Poison Ivy issue number 12. Let's go ahead, show off the artwork here. I think basically for the next issue, it's just going to be the unification of both Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, and like, what are we going to do next? So here's where she's like tripping balls, basically, being poisoned, and then she wakes up finally. And then when she wakes up, they come and create this antidote, and they all take the jab except for one, and then they start to make their way on back, and that's where she runs into Harley Quinn, and they are reunited again. So we'll see where it goes. So yeah, that is volume 2. Volume 2, not as good as I would say for volume 1. Volume 1 I gave a 4.5. This one I would give a 4. But if you enjoyed volume 1 a lot, the artwork is still really, really excellent. So the story isn't quite there, but the art is still really consistent. So if you value the art more over the story, I'd recommend it. If you're like, okay, I actually value the story more, and you aren't super wowed by volume 1, then you can skip volume 2. So maybe just stop at volume 1, but if you want more of it, you're going to get more of it in volume 2. So with that, we'll get into our next book here, which is Do a Powerbomb issue number 5. Issue number 7. Folks, this one was incredible, and it was absolute perfection.
Perfection.
Gave it a 5. Lee gave it a 4.8. That's huge for a single issue. The conclusion here is insane. We have our 2 pro wrestlers. We have Lona and we have Cobra Sun. So Lona Steel, Cobra Sun, they're called Sun Steel. They're fighting together. And now they are fighting against God in the absolute final here of this tournament. So they won the initial tournament, or actually, that's not true. They lost the initial tournament. The winners ended up killing each other, trying to resurrect whoever they wanted resurrected. Lona and Cobra Sun are trying to resurrect mother/wife, and the necromancer who put together this tournament is like, hey, those other 2 are dead. You're the runner-up. We'll make you guys the winner. But the necromancer goes to bring her back, and it's like, I'm out of juice. I can't actually bring her back, but I know someone who can, and he's very interested in you. So that's God. You're going to fight God. If you beat God, he will fulfill your wish. And so sure enough, they go up, and there's God in the middle of the ring, and it's like, oh my gosh, what chance do these 2 have? And most of the issue is the match itself, and it is just an incredible 5-star match. So first, God is destroying them, but then both of them work together. They hit the tandem offense, they hit their finisher, and this is the very first time they hit their finisher. It looks like God is down 1, 2, but boom, he kicks out. But when he kicks out, he's like face down, panting, and then a drop of blood comes off of his nose and hits the mat. The whole crowd gasps because nobody has made God bleed before. Like, what the hell? Like, what in the anime? It is insane. And so then God gets super pissed off, and he's like, that's it. And he just absolutely destroys and pummels both of them, and he wins because he's God. And so now, Lona and Cobra Sun, they can't get their mom and the wife back. And so, but God, has pity on them, and it's like, here are basically sympathy championship belts that you get, as that was the closest anyone in the history of eternity has ever come to beating him in a wrestling match. And then Lona's like, well, I just want my mom back. Can you bring her back? He's like, unfortunately, I can't bring her back. But what I can do is restore a memory that you have that you've been thinking back to. And it's the memory of Lona and her mother, Luna, sitting in bed. And Lona's like, hey, what happens when we die? And it basically repeats the same memory that it was from multiple issues ago of I really don't know what happens. But then she asked her back of what do you think happens? And she's like, well, I don't know. I think you kind of just go up to heaven and then you live there. And then at the very end, Lona goes, Mom, will you be watching me? And then it cuts to the actual ring in the stands. There's her mother in the stands looking at her, and the answer is yes, I will be watching you. And I'm getting all emotional just thinking about it. I was like, oh, dude, heartwarming. Incredible book. Both passions in my life coming together from comic books and pro wrestling, and it is the most perfect book ever. I give the whole thing a 4.5, leaning towards a 5. This issue is certainly a 5. It's perfection, folks. If you like wrestling at all, buy the book. If you like comics at all, buy the book. If you don't like comics and you don't like wrestling, I don't know why you clicked on the show, but still buy the book anyways. Do a Powerbomb is one of the most incredible comics I have ever read. Certainly super biased because of the content behind it, but it is epic. From the artwork to the storytelling to how they make it all land in the end. It's a classic. It is a classic. So let's go ahead. Show off some of the artwork here. So you can see these 2 attempt to destroy God, but they do not. So here we get the entrances, we get the standard, we get the fight, it's on, and it's like, damn, are they going to be able to win? Are they not? Hitting their big moves, hitting the big finisher. And then let's see if I can show off where God ends up bleeding, because that is the most epic thing that happens here. It's like, oh my God, they made God bleed. And let's see. Oh, here it is. So boom, he's like, boom, the droplet of blood coming off the nose, dropping to the ground, and people can't believe it. Huge splash screen of everyone going How is that even possible? God gets super pissed, and then that's when he hits these two enormous suplexes, I think off the top rope. And I think it's like, what, Gilgamesh or something like that is the name of it? The Pillars of Gilgatha or something like that. It's insane. And so God obviously wins. He's the champ. That's where he restores the memory, and then the memory is them back together. And it's like, yeah. There she is in the stance. That's my girl. That's my girl. And I think towards the end here, it's like, yeah, will you be watching me even after you're gone? And then you flip to it, and she's in the stance watching her even after she's gone. Oh, so good. Incredible. Do a Powerbomb, folks. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Issue number 7, I gave it a 5. Lee gave it a 4.8. That's a masterpiece right there, folks. That is a masterpiece. Boom. Alrighty, from there, second to last, we got, that is in the wrong order. We have Fables, issue 154. I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4.2. We got a continuation of this story where it's a bunch of werewolf pups. They were setting up camp in the forest. Parents got pissed off. Dad in particular was like, kids, go off and have an adventure. So in the last issue, it's 4 kids. They're all going on their different adventures. The youngest boy, he likes reading. He runs into a bookworm. Bookworm invites him in. He starts reading, and the bookworm's like, you've been here forever. You've been here for quite a while now. Your parents have forgotten about you, and you'll live here forever and ever and ever. And that was kind of the cliffhanger of like, uh-oh, kid's in trouble here. Now we have a continuation of that and a little bit of what the other kids are up to. So we have one kid in particular. He is found a sword, picks the sword out of a stone type deal, and he's like walking around holding it, and he runs into another adventurer. That adventurer seems like he's a little bit shady, but it's like, hey, let's go on an adventure together. And so they head into the woods together. Stranger danger, but I guess that kid doesn't care. So that's one. We got another daughter, and she finds a bunch of treasure chests that are covered in locks, and she's like, oh man, I just wish I was strong like my brother or my dad and I could be able to open this up. And a voice starts whispering to her. He's like, you can do it, you can open it up, right? Like just trying to trick her. She's like, I don't really want to. I'm gonna find a different adventure. And she just goes ahead and walks off. So that's kind of funny. And then the last one is another daughter as well, and she finds a tortoise, and on the tortoise is a teacup filled with water, and she looks inside of it, and in, the cup floating on the water is a huge island, and it's like a whole world basically inside that teacup on that tortoise. And she goes and she jumps and dives into it, and then when she dives into it, she's on the island and sees a whole bunch of people, and she's now like their size, and she's like, how the hell did you get here? Nobody has ever been here in how many years? And so that adventure is about to begin. And then we go back to the youngest son who's with the bookworm, and the bookworm is like this enormous, huge caterpillar beast. It looks like he's about to like consume the boy, and the boy is like, well, this is fun now. I'm done. And the bookworm's like, what? What are you talking about? And the boy is like completely serious, not even like laughing in fear of just like, you don't really know who I am, but I'm the son of Snow White and of this like high werewolf, and I'm like the prince of like eternity or something like that. So this was fun, genuinely, but I must be going. And he just opens up the door, even though the door is supposed to be shut for all of eternity, but he just opened it like it was a regular old door, and he just goes ahead and walks out. And each page, as he's like, yeah, this is fun, and like he's reading off his resume of who he is as a kid, and the worm just gets like smaller and smaller and smaller and completely reverts back to what it was. It's actually kind of funny. And then the last piece is you have Jack in the Green, who's this character that we keep getting introduced to, wants to help and goes out on this quest and ends up in Manhattan, and we'll see what she ends up doing with her companion, which is this brown bear now turned into like this old lady who's going to help her out. So yeah, that's it. It's kind of an interesting. Fables is like twist on a whole bunch of different fairy tales and things like that. I almost think like Shrek, but like we just got random stuff that they're doing and working on. Let's see if I can find the start of this one here. Oh, we also have all these animals that claim some calamity is going to happen, and then this guy just like shows up and plops in. I forgot that happened, but here's the one daughter jumps into that world, onto that island. The other boy with the sword who looks like he's like a thief or a robber, but someone else on an adventure. And then the girl with the treasure chest and a bunch of locks. Then we go back to the bookworm, and you have this huge monster here looking down. And then from here, the boy just starts laughing it off, and then the bookworm just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. It's like, yep, this is fun. And he just goes ahead and just walks on out and says, all right, I'll see you later. And then Jack and the Green, who ends up in Manhattan in Central Park. So yeah, that is Fables issue 154. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. And then finally is going to be Dragon Age. So this is like the huge, massive book that I have here. And it is, what issue is this? This is called a Blue Wraith. And I thought I put the, here it is. The bookmark in there, and I did. So for Blue Wraith in particular, I'd give it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.8. That feels about right. It was in between like a 3.5 and a 4. And it sort of picked up towards the end of the issue. So I talked about the first adventure with Dragon Age in the first 3 issues. It's this group of thieves. They're in a town that's about to be attacked. They're trying to find this artifact. There are people who are living in the town, a brother and a sister. They're not trying to prevent it, but they're trying to prevent being like defrauded. And so the brother in particular, he goes out and tries to stop them, but he gets killed. And then the sister is there. The city has fallen. She doesn't really know what to do. So she actually ends up joining the adventurers, and they leave the town together. So now, as they leave the town, the main girl's name is Francesca, and she joins up with the group. The group is now tasked with like going after this wagon that has some sort of artifact that they're going after now. And they're at a crossroads, and Francesca is like, well, I want to go to this other town where my family, had some connections there, and see if I can find my father. You guys can go and pursue the wagon all you want. And so the party actually splits up. One other girl goes with her who's like an elf, and she leaves with her, and then the 2 boys, they go and pursue the wagon. And then the story mostly follows Francesca and the other girl as she goes to that town. And when she gets there, she finds the people that she's trying to find, and she's asking about her dad. And they're like, your dad has been captured. He was captured by Blue Wraith. And Blue Wraith is an elf, and what he's doing is he's freeing enslaved elves, and then whoever he finds that has captured them, he basically murders them. And so she's like, well, if Blue Wraith captured your father, and this is a person who's trying to free slaves, like, I can't imagine your father is too good of a person. Francesca's like, I understand that, but he is my dad, right? So we're going to try to free him as much as we can. And she strategically actually wanted someone to follow her, specifically the elf, because she kind of thought that maybe something was going to be up, and then that the elf would be able to help. So it actually worked out in Francesca's favor. And so they go off together. They leave that town from the Connect, and they go and try to find Blue Wraith. And then sure enough, they run across him pretty early on, and that is the cliffhanger where it is Blue Wraith that we see, and then next to him is a dead soldier on the ground. Not her father, but, maybe one of her father's guards or something like that. So that is the book. Let's go ahead, show off the artwork so you can take a look at it. It's very nice. It's like kind of very similar to Battle Chasers, if you remember that, and feels almost like a Saturday morning cartoon is the way that I would kind of describe it. But here it is kind of where they end up splitting and going their separate ways. And towards the end here is where, boom, she finds Blue Wraith here, along with the dead soldier as well. So things aren't looking too strong. We'll see, and how dangerous this whole situation is, but if Francesca can actually find her father or not. So that's Dragon Age. The Blue Wraith issue number 1, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.8. So that's it. Those are the books for this issue. Let's go ahead and, that's the wrong button, show off these 10 books again, just so you can see them. Start rattling them off in a quick summary format here. So we had Absolute Superman issue number 15. You got Superman doing the damn thing, but he's absolutely exhausted, and Brainiac is trying to team up with Lex Luthor. We had X-Men issue number 23. Cyclops comes back from the Age of Revelation trying to attack Doug Ramsey, but the rest of the X-Men stop him. We have Ultimate Wolverine issue number 13. Truly a filler issue of just Wolverine finding Ursa the Bear and Ursa Major and trying to find medicine for Jean Grey. Nice House by the Sea. We're in the second biome now where one of Walter's friends, Oliver, is, but at the very end, 3 of the people from the Nice House on the Lake show up. Saga, issue 43, I want to say. We have the Squad trying to get an abortion for Alana, but Alana realizes now that she has powers. We call them giants. The rapture has taken place. So we had 3 girls who were left here. These giants took them in as pets. Discovered that the other giant was trying to basically kill them. They both end up killing each other, and now the 3 girls are out to fend for themselves. Poison Ivy, issue number 12. So after destroying the CEO that turned into a monster, find the antidote for all the ladies, all take it except for one, and now Poison Ivy is heading back to Gotham to meet up with Harley Quinn. Do a Powerbomb. We have our tag team that fight God, and though they come close and they make him bleed, they do not win. However, Lona is restored with a nice little memory of her mother, Luna Steel Rose. And then we have Fables 154, where the 4 kids kind of continue on their adventures. And then lastly, Dragon Age Blue Wraith, we have Francesca and the Squad trying to find Francesca's father as Blue Wraith has him captured. So that's it. Those are the 10 books. I hope you guys enjoyed this show. Obviously, this week ends, we will have kind of the best of the year. I was hoping, I actually couldn't find it on League. I was hoping to just go through, because they do a Wrapped, just like, Spotify, YouTube, all the rest of them do now. And it was like, okay, that's actually a nice objective way to look through things rather than, what I just call to the front of my mind on, best book and stuff that was actually released. So I think it's kind of cool to just go through those statistics, and so we'll be reviewing that, and then talk through the previews for January, as long as the reviews of 10 books. So I think that's basically it for scheduling, and then we'll probably do like another Omega for next week. So if you're, want to follow the show on social media, check out the description below. You'll find the social media channels. And if you want to support the show monetarily, you can go to Saturday Morning. It's buymeacoffee.com/Saturday Morning Review. And you can go ahead and support there. All the proceeds will basically go towards buying some comics. So if you want to leave a tip, that is the way you can do it. So with that, I think we can go ahead, close it out. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next one.
This has been a DMW production. Thanks for stopping by.